Welcome to Beyond the Stars, where we explore the wonders of the universe. Today, we're going to talk about something truly spectacular: star clusters. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and seen a group of stars shining brightly together? That's a star cluster. But first, let's talk about how stars are born. You see, stars are born inside giant clouds of gas and dust called nebulas. As gravity causes these clouds to collapse, they heat up and eventually form into new stars. But sometimes, these stars don't form alone. Sometimes, they form together in groups, creating a star cluster. There are two types of star clusters: open clusters and globular clusters. Open clusters are relatively young and contain a few hundred stars. They can be found in the disk of a galaxy and are often found in the spiral arms. An example of an open cluster is the Pleiades, also known as the Seven Sisters, which is visible to the naked eye. Globular clusters, on the other hand, are much older and contain up to 1 million stars. They are typically found in the halo of a galaxy and are much more tightly packed together than open clusters. An example of a globular cluster is Omega Centauri, which is one of the brightest objects in the night sky. But what's really cool about star clusters is that they can tell us a lot about the universe. For example, by studying the stars in a cluster, we can learn about the age of the cluster and the ages of the individual stars. We can also learn about the chemical composition of the stars and the cluster as a whole by studying their spectra, which are the fingerprints of the elements present in the stars. By analyzing the light emitted by the stars, we can identify the unique spectral lines of different elements and determine the abundance of those elements. This can tell us not only what elements are present in the stars, but also the conditions under which they formed. Additionally, by studying the chemical composition of a star cluster as a whole, we can learn about the history of the cluster and the conditions under which it formed. But the real showstopper of star clusters is when they reach the end of their lives. In open clusters, the stars eventually drift apart and the cluster dissolves. But in globular clusters, things get a little more dramatic. As the stars inside the cluster age and die, they begin to heat up the cluster's core. This causes the stars in the core to start moving faster and faster, eventually creating a phenomenon known as core collapse. During core collapse, the stars in the core of the cluster get so close together that they start to interact with each other, leading to a process called stellar collisions. This is where stars collide and merge together to form even bigger stars. And it's not just stars that collide, but also planets, asteroids, and even black holes. This process of stellar collisions and mergers causes the cluster's core to heat up even more, leading to the formation of what are called blue stragglers. These are stars that are hotter and brighter than the other stars in the cluster, and they're thought to be the result of stellar collisions. Now, this might all sound a bit chaotic, but it's actually a beautiful dance of stars and gravity. And the best part? You can see all of this with your own eyes. All you need is a telescope or even binoculars on a clear night. Just look for bright clusters of stars and you might be lucky enough to spot a globular cluster or even a blue straggler. They are not just static formations, but are constantly changing and evolving over time. As we look up at the night sky, it's important to remember that what we see is not a static image, but a snapshot of a moment in time. The stars in these clusters have their own stories to tell, and by studying them, we can learn more about the history and future of our universe. Star clusters also remind us of our own place in the cosmos. We are made of the same elements as the stars in these clusters, and our own lives are but a fleeting moment in the grand timeline of the universe. But despite our smallness in the grand scheme of things, we have the ability to observe, study, and understand the workings of the universe. And that, in itself, is a profound and humbling realization. Thanks for watching and join us next time as we continue to explore the wonders of the universe.